Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
It's the Patreon pick for December, and this time went with something that was a bit more of a, I say, classic. I didn't know how much of a classic it was going to be. The main thing was it was sort of like those old black and white movies, like drama type films that I went for this time. Something a bit off the typical cliche stuff of Christmas films. So when I put this on, and someone was, oh, is it going to be? How much Christmas is going to be involved in it, but it came on the list of like top Christmas films. So
I would say it's a Christmas film. It starts off with her buying a Christmas tree, and it's got Christmas lights. It's revolving around a church and the religious side of Christianity and everything like that. So I feel like it's not commercialized Christmas like Elf or Santa Claus or something like that, but it's definitely an old traditional Christmas film,
which I thought you'd appreciate.
Yeah, I feel like there's lots of similarities to It's a Wonderful Life in here, and you've got quite a few characters from there as well.
That you point out, yeah. So the film in question is called The Bishop's Wife, and I would definitely say it's kind of like, if you like It's a Wonderful Life, you'll probably enjoy this as a recommendation.
yeah, you would. And I think everyone knows how I feel about It's a Wonderful Life. I don't know if they do actually, but yeah, I feel like they should.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore it. It's just one of those things you put on and it just makes you feel good. And I think this kind of somewhat gives you that.
In its own right, but still not too far removed from it in a sense. Because one thing, you've got a sort of guardian angel in a sense in this film of Cary Grant in this time. I know we covered Bringing Up Baby earlier in the year, so I kind of feel like we've seen a few films of him this year. Other ones that have been not recorded, we've just watched in our own time. So
I do think he does a really strong performance. However, he's not your typical angel. Not like in it, like for example, we'll stop comparing it to It's a Wonderful Life in a minute. But it's not like he feels like he's looking out for Henry, but he's also quite good looking and quite smooth and a bit of a ladies' man and likes to...
A big selling point for the film, I think, in the marketing. Back in the day, like, he's a Cary Grant's in it, so this will do well. Yeah.
And smooth talking them and such. And he's not as much angel as the one in It's a Wonderful Life. Where
Clarence,
he's really... Clarence he's just there for George Bailey.
Yeah.
Whereas, I think, if anything, Dudley is the angel in this. It's more there for the bishop's wife, pretty much. No pun intended for having just saying the title, but yeah.
It's like the similarity of they both haven't got their wings yet or something. So
Which one came first? When was this film?
So this came out in 1948, and It's a Wonderful Life came out in 1946. So 2 years difference.
Yeah, okay, fair enough then. Yeah.
So this is like It's a Wonderful Life light version, I suppose.
I think it's not as impactful in its message. I know it sounds daft. It's a Wonderful Life really hits you with the morals and lessons of, like, if you weren't on the earth, what impact would you have and what would your life be like? Whereas this is more just your immediate family.
Yeah, and I know It's a Wonderful Life is kind of classed as now a Christmas film because of the latter part taking place over Christmas period, but this one seems definitely more solely focused around the winter season and leading up to Christmas and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
it starts like it's obviously either November or December, basically. And it's within a month that all of this pretty much somewhat happens, I'd say.
Yeah.
So just to set a bit of the scene, just in case you don't know, it's to do with Henry, who is a bishop, and Julia is his wife. They've got a daughter called Debbie, who is Zuzu from It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
And straight away I was like, it's just the voice you knew from the get-go. I lost my pedals. And that was like a selling point for me, like seeing Debbie, in another limelight, really. I've not really seen her in anything else.
Well, exactly, yeah, same. And then later on, you see a young George Bailey as well in like a wintry, like, snowball fight.
Which is quite ironic because he was in another snowball kind of ice skating.
Yeah, he fell for the ice.
Yeah. Always saved his younger brother, didn't he?
For the ice, yeah. But, yeah. So it's like, oh, yeah, he's there too as well. So
obviously back then you did have certain actors and actresses that, like, younger...
within the studio, they were kind of signed to that studio, as opposed now they're more free to just, like, move around different studios. Normally they say back then it was kind of more they were contracted or locked into working exclusively on.
And I think as well, it probably is once you've got them, there's not going to be as many studios probably back then as there is nowadays.
No, definitely
so
not. No.
You're kind of going to stick with that one because it's better the devil you know.
Mm-hmm.
So with this, Henry used to have a little church in a little village where he was loved by everybody. He was able to devote his time and be there for the community and everything like that, and everybody just cared for him, thought he was a great person. And then he got promoted to be bishop, which then meant he had to move and go to a bigger church and all of that and leave his loved ones and his community behind, in a sense. From that, he's got like a grand house and he's got a maid, which is
Matilda.
Yeah. And, you know, he's got a lovely dog that looks like something from Peter Pan. So basically, we get to a point of where we can tell Henry's not happy. He's trying to build a cathedral. He's
getting flack from Mrs. Hamilton, who's like, oh, I want it in as I want it, really. I don't care about you being too much of a perfectionist, Henry, about this. I want it just a certain way.
And I want it in this certain position, even though, or wherever it's located, even though that's not feasible and it's going to impact on the people living there and such. She's got enough money that her late husband's given her that she just wants everything in her way, her manner, to kind of pay her respects to her husband.
Yeah. And so he's therefore like so self-obsessed with like finding perfection in this, and so wrapped up in the work essentially of doing. And this is obviously this is affecting his home life really with his daughter and particularly his wife, I suppose, who's trying to be kind and everything. And that's why Dudley's coming down to nudge him in the right direction, I guess. Really,
you notice it's always the men that need the nudge in the right direction. Same in Wonderful Life. Never a woman who needs a angel coming down to look after her, is it?
Not that I've seen.
No. What does that say? Well, to be fair, in this one, Dudley takes a shine more to the bishop's wife, Julia. So basically, in this, instead of taking on the workload, which he does offer, does Dudley, it's more Henry's like, oh, no, you can't do that because the Mrs. Hamilton will expect me to do this or expect me to be there. And he's trying to be his assistant, but in the end, he assists by entertaining his wife.
Yeah, so he's too busy, so I'll take her out to lunch and keep her happy and everything.
Yeah.
While you do what you got to do, really. Which
seems a bit bizarre, to be fair, as an angel perspective, but I think it's some clever form of trickery because he does make Henry jealous. Makes him realise, well, I want to be...
Yeah, appreciate you don't know what you got till it's sort of gone.
Yeah, I want to do that with my wife. Why are you making her happy? I should be making her happy.
Yeah.
Why are you having good times with her and getting jealous of the relationship they're building? And realising, well, I used to have this. So obviously, Dudley, in a clever way, has spun this web so that Henry gets this realisation of, actually, yes, I've got a wonderful wife right in front of me. I need to basically figure out my work-life balance.
Yeah, essentially, which is a lesson that we can all try and take from in our daily lives, isn't it? Really, you know, we sometimes end up so wrapped up in work, and that sort of takes precedence over because you need money to pay for things and stuff, and sometimes that you neglect the people you love a little bit and just get in the way, and we kind of lose sight of what's important. I know, but yeah, we do our best, don't we?
We try. I think that's what's a good moral about this film in itself as well, is I associate, people might slander me like, oh, Christmas is about Jesus and everything like that, however people want to interpret it, but for me, Christmas is family. It's spending time with your loved ones that you haven't seen in a while. It's for celebration, it's for fun, it's for laughter and cheer. And I feel like this, in a weird roundabout way, gives you that in this film. It's telling him to slow down, to wind down for Christmas, spend time with his loved ones, and be there for the people that you care about the most.
Mm-hmm.
I think recently, within this year, we've had quite a lot of things that have happened where it's opened our eyes to thinking, crap, not everyone's going to be here forever. So we have to spend time with your loved ones. Yep, you want to get your money in to be able to go on holiday and do all of this fun stuff, but you also need to actually just enjoy the little things as well and value them while they're here.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's something I've massively learned this year. And this kind of made it, not saying the bishop's wife's going anywhere. Well, she could have gone off with Dudley if she wanted to, even though Dudley's an angel.
I didn't really see it that way. I think it was just he's just charming self. And
I mean, he definitely wanted her. Like, if he was a real man and wasn't an angel, he'd have been trying to steal his wife. But
everyone else was seemingly like eyeballing him as well. Like, ooh, he looks like a handsome thing. What's he doing with her, kind of thing? Like the little gossips and stuff.
Oh, well, women are really bad about it, aren't they? Yeah. But also, it's a bit strange. Like, she's been seen around with this brand new man. No one know who he is. Because back then, everyone knew everybody. It wasn't like it's nowadays. You can just walk past the street and not really realise who people are. Everyone knew everyone's business. It was a small enough town to be aware of and whisper behind each other's backs. And if a new man, well, let's say, for example, me. Okay, I'm your partner, but then I eventually go out with some random man every night on an evening. So first of all, he takes her out for dinner, which, I don't know, I feel like that one-on-one man and woman relationship out on a meal is cast as a date, Yeah, you can do it with your friends, but if it's got like a candlelight and got that kind of romantic atmosphere, and what's quite strange is she goes there with her husband because that's where she was proposed.
Used to be like, oh, we haven't been here in absolutely ages, and it's kind of a sentimental value.
It's like me taking someone to the old barn, Paul. Like where we got married, it just feels a bit wrong, doesn't it?
I get you, yeah.
And then he's pretty much there any moment when she wants something. So, for example, this hat, she keeps staring at it in the window, and she's one of those, like, typical me. Oh, I really want that, but I won't get it because it's too expensive or whatever, or it won't suit me.
And then she's like in the window, oh, someone's taken the hat now. And it's like, oh, I don't know, like I missed my opportunity.
And then you want it even more because you can't now actually have it.
And then he steps in and says shakes his head to the woman, it's like, nah, doesn't look good on you. And so, therefore, she gets it and like, right, there's your opportunity to get it now. Yeah. Before you don't miss the moment.
Yeah.
Get it. But, so there's some things of that as well, I think, in a subtle way, not just with material goods, but
no, there is, and it's kind of highlighting like just take every opportunity you've got. You've only got one life. You live it to the fullest.
Yeah. If you want that, you want it. But can we just talk about some of the effects in the film?
Yeah, I was just going to go on to which kind of leads into it anyways. The ice skating ones a little bit as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because obviously that's one of the other things that he does with the bishop's wife, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Singing in the Rain a little bit as well, but on ice skates. Because they do like performing a number where obviously Dudley is an angel, so he's going to be fantastic at ice skating, isn't he? He can do anything because he's an angel. And then Julia's not so great on the ice, but eventually becomes absolute pro. And we've got the taxi driver. Oh my God, how amazing is he? Like his stunt man within this, because he cannot skate for toffee apparently, but clearly he can, but he's just making it look like he can't. And that must be really, really hard.
Yeah, true. It comes across as pretty well, doesn't it?
And it's so comical and it's so funny, and it's just, it doesn't feel like it's old or dated or anything like that. And then you have this wonderful little number where clearly
there's no singing involved.
No,
it's literally just more like a dance choreographed ice skating.
But I think because it's two men and the woman in the middle, it just kind of reminds me of the Good Morning.
Dancing on Ice.
Yeah.
That kind of.
And the only thing I will say is obviously clearly sometimes the actors and actresses, just like when we watched Home Alone and he's going across his zip wire.
Yeah, that you purposely do it from a far away shot, or you put them in shadow to like have them face the other way to say like you can, so that that's not actually Cary Grant skating around on the ice there. So to cover up that fact. So yeah, you can notice that a bit. But this is because for every single film pretty much. Like there's always
I
any
think they
stunts
just
involved.
cover it up a bit better
yeah.
nowadays, but still, for back in the day, it wasn't that
Yeah.
bad, was it?
No. Not to say that's just bad. Like, oh, that's obvious. Like it's in a terrible way. They really just. Yeah. So the effects.
Matilda effects. Like,
Yeah. When he's like filing cards away, that was pretty decent. Like when
it
he
was
doing that, and it's like, for the time, like oh, that's yeah.
I don't even know how they've done that, but I was really impressed.
And the one that wasn't so good, but it's like whatever. When they're doing the snowball fight, it's kind of like the ball kind of throws, but it's like not in a way that looks realistic enough. It's almost like pulled on a wire. It feels like in that way. It's like, oh, it's just going really slow. It's like, no, that doesn't work so well. But and also the things like when he meets that professor who's like, oh, I've been to Vienna, and he's like, do I know you from Vienna? He meets up with him, and he keeps filling his glass up with the wine.
If only like that was like a bottle that you really liked, and it just kept filling. But what was amazing about that story part was it still continued all the way through. So this guy just had this endless bottle of wine, basically, and it just refilled every time it got empty. I mean, imagine you wouldn't even have to buy any wine ever again.
And that helped him out as well with that as well, because he found this Roman coin that he had, and he found like there's actually a lot of history in this that people don't know about, and so that you could write your paper or your thesis or whatever are based up around that, because he was sort of struggling as well. So he's not just helping out the bishop here, he's also helping out someone else along the way.
But I think because of the history, that made that coin more valuable, which then the professor gave to Henry to put into the cathedral, so he could actually make the cathedral into what he wanted it to be.
Yeah. I think the other couple of ones that were effects were, like, I've got written down, where the typewriter was sort of like typing itself. Yeah. For when you like take notes on that for this sermon.
I feel like that must be in my head just looking at it, because obviously this is being done all on film. I feel like somebody must be sat there doing the typing, and then it's like must be like a layer over with another negative.
Yeah, it must be.
Must be to do with layers somehow, how they're layering this over to do these effects, to maybe block out anyone actually. Yeah,
because that's how you do like the split screen. You have like a perfectly symmetrical, or like, you know, like film it in the exact same lighting and everything. You stand, say for example, I stand in one corner of the room, and then film myself on the other side of the room doing the conversation, whatever, and then splice it together, like cut it in half or however.
Yeah, or even
to
like
make it so
covering them up over one another, so laying it up.
Yeah.
So to get, because obviously somebody is physically pressing that button.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't think it was somebody underneath and it pulling wires like that kind of thing, because it wouldn't. I can't think it would work that way.
Maybe it would actually. Now you're saying that, because they do have. That's how the keys. So you could pull them, and it probably would press down with where the type.
Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, it's really interesting. It comes across pretty well, and the other one, which is, I mean, obviously it's pretty gopping the decorations on the tree, but again, I think for the time, because it was like similar to what was in A Wonderful Life as well, where that sort of like drape, like what we call it,
tinsel, but it's like stringy.
Yeah, like not water. Is it water? Like waterfall effect? That kind of like dripping water kind of thing. It just kind of just like someone's just like vomited onto it with tinsel that's shredded. Yeah, it doesn't look thing, and that kind of just like appears
out of nowhere. Yeah. That must be in stages, though. Yeah, again, I'm thinking more like stop motion in my head.
Yeah. That will probably be in that kind of way about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Very clever. And it doesn't look too dated, like with how they've done it. No,
I wouldn't say so. That's what's kind of impressive about it.
Makes it magical, doesn't it?
Yep. But on one of the amusing parts, which again is quite subtle in a way, when the bishop is having a meeting with Mrs. Hamilton about about the church, and he's like, so that it's like almost like Dudley's purposely made him so that he's got to stay have that meeting with her, and so he has him stuck in the chair.
And I think
he's like walking around, always like trying to walk around with it. And
it's a good lesson though, because it's like, well, you chose to go to see Mrs. Hamilton over going to see your old church with your wife and its choir. You picked that, so I'm going to make sure that you have to suffer that, basically, instead of actually, you know, being where he wanted to be. I think it was like a lesson that he had to learn, which was quite clever how he acted, being stuck in the chair. You know, when you're not actually stuck in a chair. There was one part where like, obviously he's having to show he's an angel to Henry.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry's like, oh, well, I'll lock the door. Right, go and show me, like...
A miracle, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, give me a miracle. Just build my cathedral now, basically, for me. But yeah, the miracle that he just shows, like, look, you locked the door and I can still open it and walk out and you've still got the key. And there's another part where it did make me... I can't remember the scene now, so I'm hoping you might. Where Julia says she's feeling gay, meaning happy as well.
Uh-huh.
I think she's just brushing her hair and obviously she's been getting attention from Dudley. And she's been doing whatever she wants to make her happy. But she feels quite happy and good about herself. And I think she's enjoying life a little bit more with Dudley around. I don't think it's anything wrong on her part. Like, I don't think she's fallen in love with Dudley or anything. But I think Dudley does make it sound like he...
Somewhat smitten.
Yes.
But unintentionally. Yeah. I don't... Yeah, I can't see it in a way that it's like, oh, he's kind of like creeping in and muscling in to try and like win her over. And
I think he's doing that to make Henry jealous. I think he's doing it to make Henry realise what he's missing out on. Yeah,
but because of the time period it was set in and everything, I think and especially it's Christmas themed, it wouldn't be coming across as a mean spirited way of like trying to, I'm going to take your wife away from you without, and then she falls in love with him, leaves the bishop or anything like that. I don't think it's that, but it could. If it was done to modern standards, it probably would have some kind of stupid way of going about it nowadays.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really do agree.
I think one of the things, though, that another moral, I suppose, is from obviously the ice skating scene, the cab driver Sylvester he's called, and I think he says something like, you've restored my faith in human nature.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's something to take away from that as well, because if you do good deeds and stuff, and it's like
they should come back to you.
Yeah,
I think as well, also with Mrs. Hamilton, so Dudley actually gets under her skin a little bit and kind of makes her become like a human again, in a sense. So, for example,
under her skin in a good way, not like
not in a bad way.
Yeah.
No, so he kind of unravels why she's the way she is. Like, she actually loved a poor man called Alan and didn't want to marry him because she wanted a more luxurious life. So she married her husband that she's now widowed to. And I think she's never loved him. She just married him for the money aspect of it. And now wants to build a cathedral just to honour him, really, because of the lifestyle that she's had. I think that's quite sad to never have actually fallen in love with your true love and just to sacrifice money and wealth. Because money and wealth don't give you the happiness. And I think that's kind of that moral there.
Yeah, you can't buy you that, yeah. And even more touching for her is the fact that Dudley finds the sheet music that like only her husband had.
Yeah.
And obviously it was locked away in this box and everything, so no one could have accessed it. And that she's like, oh, like so touched by that. Such a spiritual experience for her to like sort of like changed. That's helped change her mind, like make her a bit more open and kind-hearted.
Mm-hmm.
Really about the reflecting on the past.
Makes her want to not really have the cathedral as grandeur and give the money to the poor and homeless, really, because she realised that the guy that she did love was poor.
Mm-hmm.
And, somebody who'd done that, she might have actually been with him if the money had actually been, somebody could have helped him. So we do get a moment where Henry is absolutely getting beside himself with Dudley. To like, you just ruining my life. You've not actually helped me. There's no cathedral. There's no nothing. All you're doing is stealing my wife. You're no angel whatsoever. And this is where Dudley's like, right then, fine, I'll go. And you see the impact on how massively Julia and Zuzu or Debbie.
Even Matilda's quite upset by it as well. Like,
yeah.
Everyone feels a bit lost, a bit like It's a Wonderful Life. But obviously in that film, they have no idea that he doesn't
George is not existing.
Whereas they feel the impact. Again, you don't know what you got till it's gone type of.
Just how you'd feel if I was no longer around, yeah?
Yeah.
Thanks. He eventually does come back to Dudley and basically says his farewells. He said that basically in a mortal world you won't come back twice to the same place, so they wouldn't probably see him again.
Yeah, now that he's achieved what he's done, he'd be helping somebody else in somewhere. But whether he could come back as the same person exactly, like would he be Cary Grant? in that form, or would he be? It'd be just somebody else, or what? Or just get his wings and that'd be that.
Well, he does say he envies a mortal, which is a dangerous kind of thing. Because so he does actually envy Henry in the fact that he's got Julia and a family, and he does want that. And I think he does actually have some feeling towards Julia, because he does say, "Kiss her for me, Henry." So obviously, if he was alive, I think Henry might have something to worry about.
Yeah, it's quite sweet. I think the fact that being like sort of like a helping hand, a guiding light for people in all these scenarios, not just obviously like even from the beginning when it's like helping this, it's a blind man, isn't it, across the street and all that kind of stuff, and just like kind gestures like people whenever we try to do, but like I feel like we should do more of, like, to help people out. It's just little things that go a long way, really. But I think another part of the film as well, like it's mentioned about angels there to be like a thought of achievement, so that they're sort of like almost like whispering in your ear to do something. It's like, oh, I thought of this great idea. That's how you have those moments. So we could all have angels whispering in our ears.
We have a little devil as well on the other side, like the cartoons.
I guess where that comes from, but in a sense. But yeah.
I think after we watched this, I felt really fuzzy inside. I felt it gave me everything I needed. It was lovely. I feel like it was definitely a Christmas film, but also really morally driven, and just felt like a really uplifting film.
Yeah, because they're in when they have like the midnight mass as well, Christmas Eve,
and he tells a story
that he wrote early on with the typewriter, and so he's reading it back, and it's like, oh, I didn't guess I wrote this, but yeah. So it's in the fact of like the thought of achievement that you've done. It's like, and it's probably we don't hear it all, but we could have heard snippets, and it sounds like it's going to be something that means a lot to people and have that impact and stuff. And then Cary Grant just like walks away in the snow, and that's
it
in the film. Yeah, no, it's really like gives you sort of like that old styly Christmas vibes, which I tend to prefer anyway, rather than just these silly ones that are just trying to be comedic for the sake of it. Really,
no, well, you know me with comedies. I don't really.
Yeah, well, I take you back to Christmas and the Cranks, but
I feel like it's nostalgia. I can imagine if I started watching that now, I'd probably hate it. But I think it is because I've grown up with it.
Too far in.
Yeah.
Poor person.
But this is absolutely stunningly beautiful. It really is. Is it better than A Wonderful Life? I feel like it's on a par, but still A Wonderful Life. Oh, it just gets me more. It tears me up. It really chokes me. I don't think I actually cried at this one.
No,
if anything, I just felt like
yeah.
I enjoyed it, and it felt fluffy and nice inside.
No, I wholeheartedly agree on that. It's like the joke before, like it's a Wonderful Life light version.
Yeah,
really, just like a follow up to that would a good accompaniment, really.
Yeah, if you can't handle A Wonderful Life when you just want to be sobbing into some tissues, then this would be the alternative, I guess, to give you that vibe and feel.
Which I think it's probably a bit harder to come by. To be fair, we managed to find it on Amazon Prime, but I don't think it's one that's annoyingly like easy to get hold of. I think otherwise, but you can have a look around and see where obviously different countries have platforms where it's available to rent or something, probably. But to get a disc off, I think probably annoyingly tricky. I imagine.
Yeah, because of the age of it.
Yeah, certain things. Obviously, where Wonderful Life is just everywhere now. It's become.
I think it's because it's so iconic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I'll go for my score first this time around.
Interesting.
So there's going to be more of a runner-up to like what It's a Wonderful Life is. I know we keep saying that, banging that drum, don't we? But
What's a Wonderful Life? I don't know what that film is.
And for a first watch, I definitely would watch it again if it was available to find. Who knows, next year might not be, but anyway, we'll see, depending on the platform. But I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Woo! That's good for a Christmas film.
There's a lot of value in it, a lot of things to take away from it that you can apply to your own lives, or try to as best you can. But yeah, I know we all get wrapped up in our own problems sometimes, but it's sometimes good to reflect on what you've got and enjoy, especially at the Christmas period as well, which I think is kind of what it's trying to hone in on in this film. So, what about you?
So obviously it is no It's a Wonderful Life, but I have to score this in its own right. I can't compare it to It's a Wonderful Life because it is, yes, it has things that are similar and it has similar actors and, within it, but it is its own film. And if I didn't love It's a Wonderful Life so much, I probably won't be doing the comparisons. And comparing it to It's a Wonderful Life is a compliment in its own right. Because I don't know, I think I'm an old lady disguised in a young woman's body. I really love these kind of films. I've really found my niche now from us doing this podcast. My favourite film is Singing in the Rain. I think then probably It's a Wonderful Life would be my favourite Christmas film. The Grinch is definitely up there, but
I don't know, but the same.
It's just different. It can't be in the same bracket, but it's just they're both 10s. And I feel like I'd be unfair to not give this a 10, to be honest. I absolutely loved it. I felt so good watching it afterwards. I felt so happy, so fuzzy. And I think that's what you want from a Christmas film. You want to feel fluffy and happy. And I think It's a Wonderful Life ends somewhat that way, but you've got a box of tissues and you're sobbing. Whereas if you don't want the tears, then this is a film for you to watch. It's one of those which will make you feel good and make you happy. And that's what a Christmas film should do. But it also gives you the morals and meanings that you need.
Yeah, exactly.
But in a nicer dose. Whereas It's a Wonderful Life is quite dark, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah, even from the beginning, really. So, but yeah, that's just how it is.
It's just showing the cruel way of life, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But definitely a 10.
All right. Well, and funnily enough, you were saying about the scoring of what you give 10s and stuff. It's kind of like I thought, might as well say preemptively saying about how what I wanted to do for the retrospective at the end of this year, for you to come back to me with what, obviously from maybe particularly from the films that we've covered through the years that we've been doing this, and see if you can put together a top 10,
okay,
like I would have a top 10 of films that I really.
Is this of what we've done podcast wise, or?
Well, no, not necessarily, because obviously we haven't covered It's a Wonderful Life as a podcast episode, but you've really liked that film, so for you to go and of all, I guess all films really as well. But obviously it's a lot easier to look back on what you've given 10s from our episodes and go, remember that, because I'm forever doing things like that as well. Like, when what films I've seen, keep missing off the list, and but.
Well, your list would be top 100 or top 50.
I don't think it's really tricky to do a top 100, even 50. To be fair, there's so many. But if you knuckle down and think about it, it's easy to somewhat put a top 10 together. Then, so
that sounds good.
So be on the lookout for that in a couple of weeks' time.
Stop already talking about it when it's not Christmas anymore. Really been enjoying this Christmas special so far. It's been really good. Solid films.
We'll have one more next time, which should, fingers crossed, will work out and be another good one as well.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you to our patrons. I hope you've enjoyed, well, everybody's enjoyed it, but I hope patrons, especially because they picked it, enjoyed our episode. I'd just want to say a big thank you to all of our patrons for picking it and supporting us and giving us the love and gratitude that they do by being part of our Patreon family. So if you do want to be a Patreon, it only costs £1 or $1.50. And basically what you do get is a shout out every episode and a vote for a film once a month. Sorry, you've already missed the Christmas special, but now you'll have to start in the new year if you do want to be one. And you can do that by going to
patreon.com/SB Film Viewers.
So our trusty Patreons are, well, we should just, first of all, if anyone's wondering why we've got such croaky voices today, and we've been trying as best, is probably because we've just been to a wedding and we've been screaming and cheering and singing
along. Yep. So this is the following day when we recorded this.
Yep. So our wonderful friends Alex and Shani have now hitched. They're on a wonderful honeymoon somewhere probably by now when this drops. And it was a lovely day, wasn't it? They had, oh God, the weather was horrendous, but bless them, they embraced it and they've had a wonderful, wonderful day.
Yeah, that's all that matters, yeah.
So please give your love to Alex and Shani, the newlyweds. Alex, you can find him on Desperately Seeking Username on Instagram. And Shani, you can find as SDOG. I don't know if that's going to change since she's now a married woman. Because now her name has changed. So we'll see. So yeah, if you do want to go follow them, congratulate them, then please do that.
Next, we've got our friend Gren, who is also on Instagram and goes under the username cgren_draw on Instagram.
We've then got Jonesy, which is under the handle Weight Loss Jonesy, and Emma under the handle M_Hayton. They've only recently got a new puppy, so if you're wanting to see little Jack Russell spam, then definitely go check their pages out. You'll get to see beautiful Lenny.
We've got our podcast friends who are Ben from Film Vloggers, Mark from 100 Things We Learned from Film, and Nico from The Good, The Bad and The Weird podcast.
And lastly but not least, my wonderful mum, who, bless her, she's just a little saint, really, isn't she, with everything she picks. So, yeah, if you do want to be a patron, please do join our little Patreon family.
And if you enjoyed this episode and want to hear some more episodes, you can do so by going over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you get your podcasts from. And also be sure to leave us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, and wherever else they do the scoring system.
So if you haven't already, then a pre-Christmas present to me and Paul would be that you would lovely want to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, all that jazz. Give us follows, likes, comments, and all the love and support that we would like at Christmas. That would be the best Christmas present for us, apart from being a patron, of course. So if you do want to find us on social media, we're under the handle SP_filmviewers on all platforms, and if you search them, you'll find us.
Yep, that's everything. And next time, as I say, will be
a special one. I'm really looking forward to it.
Special guest.
So keep tuned in, because
should be a good one.
Should be a good one.
So thank you very much for listening once again, and we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye now.
Bye.
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 Bye.